The greatest glory in living lies not in never failing, but in rising every time we fall. Nelson Mandela once said, "The man who was not locked down but in locked up in imprisonment up to 27 years for his countrymen, keeping the eyes over lockdown." ELI, English Language and Literature Explorer, the Mumbai-based organization for junior college English teacher. The organization organized a fantastic webinar on developing LSRW by the Board of Study member and the chairperson, Honorable Dr. Manjusri Sardeshpande of English Subject Committee of Maharashtra State Textbook Bureau, Pune, on the role of competency in teaching English subject. As well, she guided us on the classroom problems of teaching and learning process and how to improve our teaching, learning outcomes of our students. So my fellow teachers, educators and parents, I found these resources are very useful for planning new academic year and teaching learning strategy. It is a blueprint for us how to deal with the new curriculum and what are the main objectives, how to use the course book and how to deal and romancing with the textbooks. So I think whatever I had learned, I would like to share with you with the prior permission and due respect to the chairperson and the respected Board of Study members. So let's begin the why.
The role of competencies in language teaching. Friends, what do we understand by the word competent and what is competency? When we say he is competent, means he has a particular level of expertise. Competency is the ability or capability to do something successful. If you do something successfully, that means you are competent in that. Ability is someone's skill or a level of expertise. She is able to do it, means she can do it. She is capable, means she has the potential to do it. For example, if a marathon runner has hurt his knee and he is not able to run the race at the moment, it does not mean that he is not capable to run the marathon. Once the knee is healed, he will be able to do it. Now, what is the difference between competencies and skills? Have we ever given a thought? What is the difference between competencies and skill? When we open the first page of our textbook or course book, and there are the statements of competencies given, first of all, how many of us really open that page? I was going to come to that. Yes, how many of us really open that page? And how many of us really go through the competencies? How many of us really know the difference between a competency and a skill? Maybe many of us feel that competency and skill are the same. But yes, competencies are not skills, although they are similar. Skills are learned, while competencies are inherent qualities and individual processes. Competencies are skills, knowledge, and ability combined together. So there is so much in that competency. It is not just skills. It adds to the skills, the knowledge, as well as ability. And in knowledge, there is information and theoretical and practical understanding of a subject. When all this is combined, you are competent in that field, in that area. Now, you have been taught to write. I'll just give you an example which shows the meaning of competency. You have been taught to write, and your friends have also been taught to write. You and your class fellows belong to the same school and are taught by the same teacher, but still the competency of each child is different. Why does this happen? Yes, as we have discussed above, competency is not just the skill of writing, which the teacher taught you, but it also includes some inherent qualities that every individual possesses. The exposure of every child is different. The cultural background, the geographical background has also a role to play in competency. Hence, when I ask a student to write an essay on my friend, One will write on my best friend Sunita, but another may write my best friend is my conscience. See the level of competence. It includes your mental makeup, how you are groomed, what books you read, in which environment you are growing, etc. It makes a whole lot of difference. Now, we are concerned with competency in language, and that too, to be specific, English language. Competency-based language teaching focuses on what learners are expected to do with the language and can be described as defining educational goals in terms of precise, measurable descriptions of the knowledge, skills, and behaviors students should possess at the end of a course of study. That means we have to see the outcomes also. Whatever we had planned, whatever competencies we wanted our students to imbibe, has it resulted, has it shown in their outcome? In India, we have large classrooms, and it is not possible to give individual attention to each and every child. It is difficult to find out which child is lacking in which competency. The designing of the course book is planned, keeping all these things in mind. Now let us see how the designing of a course book takes place and how are the competencies decided. So let us see the designing of a course book. When we decide to design a course for English language learning, and we have in mind that yes, we want to run this course, we want to complete it, we want to spread it over 12 years of language learning, from standard 1 to standard 12. Then we need to decide how are we going to proceed. What are the things we are going to include in standard 1? What are the grammatical items we are going to include in the standard 1? What are the writing skills? What are the speaking skills? What are the other skills, listening as well as reading skills are we going to include? And as we know, in India, we start all the skills right from standard 1. In many other countries, some skills are taught later. They go competency-wise. They take one skill after the other. But in India, we start all the skills together. Maybe we start with the listening skill, but in the first session itself, by the end of the session, we make our children write also. So that is, and when we are designing the textbooks, all the statements of competencies are graded. We decide beforehand only what we are going to teach in the first standard, what we are going to teach in the second standard, and all the competencies in this way are graded up till standard 12. And this gives direction to the teachers because the teachers should know what are the things, what is the goal they want to achieve, what is the competency level the students should achieve at the end of that session. The competencies are graded class-wise, and the teacher gets directions from the statement of competencies supplied to them as to what they need to teach the children in that particular class. Only when they are equipped with the prescribed competencies, and when they know that the child has achieve that level of competency, then only that child should be promoted to the higher class. Otherwise, the whole purpose of language learning will be defeated. Even the course books are graded. We know which stories we need to take in the first standard. We know which stories we need to take in the 7th standard. Why? Because we know the different levels of the students. The textbooks are graded according to the difficulty level of the students, their cognitive level, their vocabulary level, their experience level, everything is taken into consideration. All the skills follow the basic rules to move from easy to difficult, from familiar to unfamiliar, from simple to complex, from realistic to imaginative, from concrete to abstract, and so on. Now, you must have also come across this when I'm saying all this, whenever we go for teacher training programs, we come across teachers who tell us that the textbooks are difficult. Now, why do you feel that some people find the textbooks difficult, or why do some people find the lessons difficult? For example, when someone complains that the Standard 9 textbook is difficult, it means that the students of that area, that school, are not competent to handle the textbook prescribed for them. It also indicates that what they should have studied in their lower classes has not been done, hence this difficulty. We cannot dilute the course. The competencies are graded and decided beforehand. So whatever we had decided, everything is planned. If something has been done in the 8th, in the 9th standard, we need to go ahead. We just cannot go back. So one needs to be competent for whatever is prescribed for standard 1 and then proceed to standard 2. If this is religiously followed, then there won't be any problem in standard 9. If we keep on diluting the course for some children, we would be robbing the other deserving children of their opportunities to reaching their goal. Now, what are the things required to make a student competent for a particular class? Now, here we have, as the course book for the 12th standard has recently been released, let us now look at the different language skills and the competencies prescribed for standard 12. So we will also know what are the things which go into deciding the competencies, what are the things required by the students at the end of the session, what do we equip them for. Now, as the students have reached the 12th standard, it is presumed that they have acquired the linguistic skills to the desired level, as they have been learning English for the past 11 years. Every generation marks an advanced human potential. The set of abilities, knowledge, perception this techno-savvy generation is blessed with makes it more important to train their minds, sharpen their intellects, and mold their characters. Language and literature are powerful, impressionable tools which have a great impact in shaping the personality of a student. They help in nurturing the thoughts of the individual. In this age of globalization, the world has become a small place. Borderless nations and cultural integration makes English language a very strong means of bonding and communication. English plays a very significant role in today's scenario. Standard 12 is a very crucial career-deciding, life-transforming year of the students. The skills of English language learning would prove to be a catalyst in fast-forwarding their career objectives. The course book has been designed to equip the students to face the challenges of the 21st century. It focuses on the holistic development of the students. It fulfills their linguistic needs, enrichment and enhancement of English language. The consolidation of constructivist approach, the skill-based approach, the activity-based approach, and integrating the internet into the classroom will definitely make the student competent to face the 21st century challenges. Now, this textbook also helps the students to master the 21st century skills. Now, what are the 21st century skills? Yes, first of all, we have the 4 learning skills, the 4 C's: critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication. Yes, we have incorporated all these in our textbook. Critical thinking is encouraged. The students are taught to reflect, to analyze, to examine, to interpret. They are taught how to be creative. Different activities related to creativity would teach the students to think out of the box, writing poems, giving views and opinions. This skill empowers the students to see concepts in a different light, which leads to innovation. Then we come to collaboration. Pair and group activities are there in the textbooks. They teach the students to work together for a common greater good. It teaches one to willingly sacrifice parts of their own ideas and adopt others' ideas to get the result. Many a times we have realized that students learn from their peers better than what they can learn by themselves. So many a times this uh, peer projects are also very important, and parent group activity has really proved wonders. Communication. We move to communication. Communication is the glue that brings all of these educational qualities together. It is essential for the students to learn to convey their ideas effectively to different types of people. Now we move on to the next set of skills, and these skills are literacy skills. These are also very important in this in the age of ICT. Let us see what these skills are. Information literacy. Yes, there is inundation, there is flood of information everywhere. Students are taught to understand the facts, distinguish facts from fiction. There is media literacy. We know how the media operates. So it is helpful for finding out the truth in a world that is saturated with information. What is the truth? The students should be told to find out the truth. They should not take whatever is being told by the media. Technology literacy. As computers, cloud programming, and mobile devices become more important to the world, students should understand these concepts. Then we move on to the life skills. These are very important, and unless and until a person imbibes all these qualities, he will not be able to move ahead in the society. He will not be able to move ahead in the company if he doesn't have these life skills. A person should be flexible, yes. He should be able to deviate from the plans if needed. A person should adjust to circumstances. And a person should possess leadership qualities. Nowadays, small graduates, small students who have just passed out, these children have started their own companies, startups, and therefore we should be able to teach or inculcate these leadership qualities in the students. They should be able to motivate a team to accomplish a goal. They should be able to take initiatives. They should be able to start projects, strategies, and then we move on to the next life skill. That is, we should be productive. Now, what is the meaning of productive? There are so many distractions, but the students should be able to maintain efficiency. They should not lose their concentration in an age of distractions. A person who loses his concentration, he is not that productive. Then we move on to the social skills. The students should learn the importance of meeting and networking with others for mutual benefit. Now, these are the expected skills which are already included in the textbook in the form of exercises and projects. And we see which are the life skills which are there in the course book, and which are the standard 12 course book, Maharashtra, which has been prepared by the Textbook Bureau, Bharati, Maharashtra State, is a beautiful blend of language and literature. It inculcates life skills and values in the students through the diligently chosen classics and masterpieces in literature. Writings of R.K. Narayan, A.G. Gardner, Virginia Woolf, Pico Iyer, O. Henry have been included to teach wit and humor, astuteness and ingenuity, etiquettes, manners, social skills, self-realization, love for nature and wildlife, search for identity, self-esteem, adaptability, perseverance, determination, broadening of outlook, etc. There is an enriching combination of stories, essays, articles, travel writing, adventure writing, and inspiring biopic too. This being an age of ICT and internet, a very useful informative text on big data has been included. This will give a larger perspective of the modern life to the students. An interesting collection of poems is really soul-stirring. Poems of Walt Whitman, Robert Southey, Dilip Chitre, Sarojini Naidu, W.H. Davies, Mamang Dai, and Lord Byron would give the students a taste of different cultures, different people, different philosophies, which would mold the students' perception of life. It is an effort to make the students realize that whether people are from the East or West, they are human beings. And human beings are humane, and life is precious. It sensitizes the students to connect with the local as well as the global. Now, as far as the language skills are concerned, there is ample scope for developing all the 4 skills. First, we move on to the listening skill. Today, in this age of ICT, listening plays a very important role. Laptops, mobiles have gained immense importance, and there is a dire need to listen to different instructions for innumerable reasons. And if your listening competency is not up to the mark, you will fail to achieve your goal. Today, people are short of time. They don't have time to read epics, long novels, and books. For such people, audiobooks, summarized versions of the books have gained popularity. But yes, if you have the listening competency, then only you would be able to comprehend, enjoy, and make the most of it. There are audio-visual aids available, and students can listen to the poems and stories, not only those which are prescribed, but others too of their choice. Novels have been prescribed for Standard 12. Films are made on novels. Students can be shown movies initially with subtitles, but then gradually the students should be able to understand the language without the help of subtitles. They should focus on the language. They should focus on the accent. That should be the goal of increasing the competency in listening. Getting us accustomed to listening to the native speakers, their speeches, their talks, songs, and movies would prove beneficial. Listening is a very important skill. The more the input, the more will be the output. The English teacher should speak English in class and not the local language. The teacher is the only source for some people to listen to English, and hence the teacher should make it a point to speak in English so that the students get familiar to the usage. Audio cassettes can be used to enhance the listening skill. Ample scope is given in the course book, keeping in view the listening competency. Dictation, note-making, note-taking would help in improving the listening skill. The students should get into the habit of getting an overview and also listening for specific information. Then we move on to the speaking skill, which is a very important skill, as it creates an impression about you. The way you speak, the words you choose, your tone, the way you deliver your dialogues, your body language, all these speak volumes about you, your character, your knowledge, and hence this skill needs to be paid attention. In this age, you will not only be required to interact with people face to face, but online too. Nowadays, interviews are conducted online, and the only source for the employer to know you is through your language of communication. The text provides ample scope for having chats and discussions, giving speeches, participating in debates and elocutions. Now we move on to the next skill, which is reading skill. Inculcating reading habits in the students facilitates and boosts language learning. To acquire the love for language, students need to be motivated, and interesting literature is always the best to provide motivation. This year, interesting novels have been included, which would inspire the students to read. Learning to learn is very important. Now, what is this learning to learn? Yes. What do you mean? Is it correct? Learning to learn? Yes. What do you mean by learning to learn? Once you imbibe the technique of gathering knowledge, half the battle is won. The teachers are in the habit of spoon feeding the children, giving ready-made material. The students actually should be allowed to struggle with the text and arrive at the answers on their own. We should not give the students a ready-made fish to eat. Teach them fishing, and that will be a lifelong learning for them. Teach them how to look for word meanings in a dictionary, guessing the meanings from the context, and other vocabulary strategies. This would enhance their reading skill. Once the words are familiar, their reading speed, their eye span would increase. Encourage silent reading for better comprehension. Novels have been included this year, and this would indeed be a literary treat for the students. The prose and poems are equally interesting, and reading at length, understanding the different aspects of the novels would help them develop insight. Now we move on to the writing skill. Every year the students are taught writing, but the complexity increases every year. What they were taught in the previous class, now something advanced writing skill is introduced in the consecutive year. Keeping pace with the times, the Standard 12 textbook has incorporated advanced writing skills. Along with the techniques of summarizing, note-making, and note-taking, mind mapping, drafting virtual messages, and preparing statement of purpose are the new additions. There is a revision of all the grammar items, as correct usage of language is of utmost importance for proper and effective communication. Now we move on to the study skills. Study skills are also very important. They play a very important role in language learning. Researching and browsing for information, gathering knowledge and information, practicing different strategies of writing, vocabulary building is immensely helpful. We will be discussing in detail about developing the competency of each of the language skills in our forthcoming webinars. And after I conclude with the statements of competencies, we would be talking a little bit about why students are incompetent. We'll throw a little bit of light, we'll have a little bit of discussion on that, because on the basis of all those things, the competencies are decided and we proceed with our teaching and learning methodology. So the graded statements of competencies, the preparation of syllabus, the selection of text, the incorporation of activities, the innovative teaching and learning methodology, all go in to make the students of a particular class competent. The requirement of every student is different. Hence, different types of activities and teaching plans, they foster learning. With this, I conclude, and with this presentation, actually, we have tried to realize the importance of the role of competencies in language learning. But let us now discuss a little bit about why are students incompetent when it comes to learning English. Why do you think the students, yes, am I visible? Why do you think the students are incompetent when it comes to learning language? Many times it is our fault, yes. In many of the schools, we find that the teachers are not qualified. In many schools in the primary sections, I have observed that the teachers have to teach 2-3 subjects. They teach English, but do not like to teach that subject. They themselves are not up to the mark, and hence it has a great impact on the students. They remain poor in English right from the primary. They also lose interest in the subject. Then we feel that there is a limited learning environment also. City children have an exposure to English language, but students in the rural areas, they do not get that exposure. They have a limited learning environment. They don't listen to English in their neighborhood. Their parents do not speak English. English is not spoken anywhere around them, so they have a limited learning environment and lag in English. Students don't take their studies seriously. That is also very important. There are very few students who take their studies seriously. English is a foreign language and it needs to be studied seriously. Students have the habit of studying at the last moment just before the exams. They just mug up a small portion and appear for the exam. This way of studying is not going to help. Studies require motivation, hard work, dedication, and perseverance. It is the duty of the teacher to instill all these in the students, otherwise they will lag behind. Then overuse of native language in the classroom. Don't you agree that this is one of the important things? The teachers use local language in the class, and English is taught by the translation method, and this overuse of the native language in the classroom, it hampers language learning. We know that the teacher is the only source for the students to listen to English. The teacher must plan his lessons well in advance so that he or she can effectively teach English. But this does not happen, and the students lag behind. We also find that the students become too dependent on the teacher. The teacher translates lessons and gives them ready-made notes. The students don't get an opportunity to learn language. They depend on the teachers or the bazaar notes. They cannot read or write a single sentence, and because of this, it hampers language learning. We all know, we've been told that teachers are just facilitators. We should provide an environment. We should provide ways and means so that the student arrives at the answer. We should not be giving them ready-made answers. If we give them ready-made answers, they will never try to do anything on their own. In the class, many a times, the strong students dominate the class. The teachers also give opportunity to the strong students, as they're always ready to give the answers. And the teachers many a times do not have patience to wait for the weak students to come up with the answers. And this also creates an inferiority complex in the students, and they shy away from learning English as it becomes difficult for them. Then we all know that English is an imperfect language. Yes, we know that BUT is but PUT is put. And why it is so, nobody knows. We all say that, yes, this is how the natives speak. Yes, we have that in Marathi, in Hindi also. We don't know why, whether we should say ke khalla or ke khalli. Yes, so there are some irregularities in our language also. These are the difference. These differences occur due to the different regions where the language is spoken. So in English, English itself is a very imperfect language, we all know. In English, the words are not pronounced according to their spellings or the way they are written, as it happens in the Devanagari script. So it creates difficulties in learning the language. Some letters are silent, and why they are silent, the students do not know, and nobody taught them. Pronunciation. How many teachers teach pronunciation to the students? No, nobody teaches pronunciation. We also do not look up in the dictionary for the correct pronunciation. Nowadays, we have the pronunciation available in our mobiles. But how many of us really take the pains to open and look for the correct pronunciation? Then English language is considered superior. Students do not mind committing mistakes in Hindi or Marathi, but when it comes to speaking English, they feel embarrassed. They feel people would laugh if they commit a mistake, and they just leave English. So there are so many other reasons because of which students fail. Students are not doing well in English, but now things are changing also, because in the rural areas also, Students are getting that exposure. Students have mobiles. Students have an exposure to English. They are writing virtual messages. They are trying their level best. And if they can send SMSs, if they can send messages, definitely they can learn English. Actually, we should not underestimate our students. We know that the students have potential. It is not that the students do not have potential. It is the education system. It is the teaching and learning methodology, which do not cater to the needs of all the students. They cater to just to the needs of some students. And in large classes, I think many of the problems are not we are not able to solve many of the problems of different students. And now, before I conclude, I think we can devote some time for question answers, and let us see if we can answer some of the questions, solve some of the queries of the people who are listening. Let us interact. That will be more interesting.
Thank you, ma'am.
So, my fellow travelers, teachers, and students, I hope you like this presentation and it is helpful in our day-to-day learning and teaching process. So, thanks for watching. And before signing off, I would like to say thanks to the Honorable Board of Study members, the team Ellie, and Dr. Manjushree Sir Deshpande for her $1 million advice for our teacher fraternity. Thank you very much.